I got to say, I'm pretty disappointed in all of you folks out there listening right now. Cody, we're trying to give the people a free 55-inch 4K TV. And all you got to do to have a chance to win that is go to the ESPN.com and sign up for the tournament challenge, our tournament challenge, the ESPN Coastal Challenge. That's all you got to do. We've put it out on Twitter. We've put it out on Facebook. If you come in first, which we all know, you sitting in your car right now, the person I'm talking to, you're going to win this bracket challenge. You know the most. You have the lucky picks. You know when to pick a 9 over an 8. You know when that 15 is going to upset a 2 seed. You know which team's going to make a run. I need you to go to ESPN.com, go to the tournament challenge, look up ESPN Coastal Challenge, and sign up for the bracket. If you don't want to do that, just go to our Twitter, go to our Facebook, click on one link, and you're there. And you can sign up, and if you get first place, you win a 55-inch 4K television. Cam, I know you're already signed up, right? You've already registered. People can compete against you. Cody, have you submitted your bracket yet?
Yep.
I haven't submitted mine for a very important reason so far. I'm probably going to do it today because we finally got the word from the vice president of the NCAA tournament that all 68 teams are cleared and good to go.
Let's go.
So today, I will fill out my bracket. And I don't care if you have 17 other brackets and 17 other challenges. You have a chance to win a gigantic 4K television. Now, say you're somebody like Kevin Thomas and you already have a 100-inch 4K TV in your house. Everyone can always use another 4K television, Cody. I don't want to hear folks complaining that, man, there's too many college football games on right now when you didn't sign up for the bracket challenge. You could have had your 100-inch 4K TV and then the 55er right next to it in the living room. Don't worry about what your spouse says. It looks great. Put up 2 TVs in your living room. It's fine. And you know what, Cam? If you come in second place, you get a Budweiser grill. So you can have the coolest outdoor barbecue event coming up this summer and this fall, 4th of July. You're cooking on a Budweiser grill. If you come in second place, I mean, Cam, why wouldn't you sign up for this?
I don't know, but, I don't think about second place. I'm trying to get, first place. First place on my mind.
Cam's trying to get that 55-inch flat screen. So if you want to take it away from Cam, go ahead and sign up. ESPN.com. Look up the ESPN Coastal Challenge and sign up. Cody, have you submitted your bracket?
I submitted my bracket. Got Gonzaga winning it all. Cam, who do you got?
Same. I do, right. But I might tweak a few things.
You still have time. You have until the first games tip off tomorrow, and you will know when that is because we will not be on the air. Coming up 5 o'clock tomorrow, we will have tournament coverage for you going all the way through the culmination of the NCAA tournament. I can't wait. I think it's going to be a really fun year, an interesting year, right? Because you don't have a lot of the blue bloods in there like Duke, who are typically the top 2, 3, 4 seeds that are up there. You have a lot of teams like Alabama, who has an unbelievable team, and they're up there as
shoot lights out,
right? I mean, Gonzaga's Gonzaga. They're usually one of those teams that's up there, but there are a lot of interesting teams that don't typically get seeded that high that are up there. And then you have another local team, Georgia Tech, that's in there as a 9 seed after they won the ACC tournament.
Disrespected.
I don't know if it's disrespect when you got to the ACC title game by a forfeit. Like they had a game that they got to skip. I think Florida State had a game that they got to skip.
Yep.
So I think the committee kind of graded that, saying, well, you won the tournament, but you got to skip around. We're going to slot you in there as a 9 seed. But got to think that's one of the lower 9 seeds that are one of the lower seeds we've ever seen for an ACC tournament champion. But again, ESPN Coastal Challenge on ESPN.com. Sign up, and you have a chance to win a 55-inch 4K television. A lot of news to get to today, specifically in the NFL, as we are right in the middle of free agency. And Cam, the latest news that I just came across the board from Adam Schefter within the last hour, A.J. Green finally has a new home. He is signing a 1-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals. He's finally out of Cincinnati, gets a chance for the last few years of his career to go out and prove it this year with Arizona, and then I think have 2-3 more productive years. Cody's not an A.J. Green fan, doesn't think he's very good, thinks he's past his prime, doesn't think he can contribute. I think my man's been stuck in Cincinnati, and once he gets out of there, gets healthy, I think he's probably one of the top 15 receivers in the league easily. If he's healthy and ready to roll, probably a top 10 receiver.
Yeah, A.J. Green's really good. He's consistent. Always a 1,000-yard receiver for the most part. it seems like Arizona's kind of all into making this playoffs. They're 7 seeds, so I'm excited for them just to get out of Cincinnati and get a chance to actually just find some success somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold it against anybody that their play suffered when they were in Cincinnati. I mean, you saw what happened to Joe Burrow last year. He came out, was super hot, but you don't have an offensive line in front of you, right? It's just I'm
creamed.
Yeah, I'm never going to hold that against anybody. You think about some of the quarterbacks that AJ Green had to play with. I mean, Andy Dalton was the predominant quarterback of his career, and he made Andy Dalton look really good a lot of times. So I'm not going to hold that against AJ Green. Excited for him going out there, Cam, because now you'll have Larry Fitzgerald probably playing like a limited slot role for them. DeAndre Hopkins is obviously their number one receiver. I think he's top 2-3 receivers in the league, period. And then you'll have AJ Green. So who are you going to double cover, right? Like when they're out there, and they have some talented running backs as well that they get the ball to. And when they go 4 wide with a running back, who are you double covering? Because I think AJ Green, for the first time in his career, is going to see a lot of single coverage.
Yeah, that's a lot of tall wide receivers on one team. They're essentially all possession receivers, going to be able to make big plays when needed to. So it's going to be exciting. And Arizona, they're going to spread it out with Kyler Murray. That's how their offense is. It's going to be exciting and fast.
And some other news, Alex Mack reportedly signing with the San Francisco 49ers. And we kind of saw this one coming. It was roughly going to be in the $10-11 million mark to keep Alex Mack in Atlanta, and the Falcons just literally couldn't afford it. I saw a tweet today that said, like, if the Falcons are in the race to get somebody and another team gets in on it, the other team's going to get them because the Falcons literally can't afford to get in a spending war with anybody. They have just enough money right now, I think, to go out and pay their rookie class once they draft them, right? I think it's going to be roughly $13.5 million total is what you're going to spend on the rookie class this year. So the Falcons have just enough money to pay their rookies, still working on restructuring a couple of other deals. But Cam, Alex Mack, a guy who came from the Kyle Shanahan offense in Cleveland, comes down, joins up with the Atlanta Falcons for the past few years, and has been an unbelievable asset to this team. Was a big part of the Super Bowl run last year. 633 snaps, 1 sack allowed from Alex Mack. But on the flip side of that, first time in his career that he has been rated sub 70 by PFF. Probably a lot of that to do with the run game for Alex Mack there. So a center who kind of on the downward trajectory of his career, but still a really valuable piece of the Falcons offensive line they're going to have to replace.
Yeah, I still miss him because our O-line already is horrible. Let's just say that. I don't think it's that good. Missing Alex Mack, he's just a solid component on the offense. And now he's going to San Fran. Basically because Shanahan's there, that correlation right there speaks for itself. But San Francisco is going to be pretty good this year too, especially if they can still find a way to land, that guy in Houston. If they could do that, yeah, it's going to smell some trouble.
I think it's kind of leading up to that. They just signed Trent Williams to a $138 million deal for 6 years. Then they got Alex Mack. They're secure in the offensive line for no matter who's behind there. The offensive line's been kind of shaky. It's kind of the reason why old boy got hurt. Jimmy G, now they're trying to, he's kind of in the middle of the pack, maybe a little bit behind middle of the pack, maybe 15 to 18 quarterback to me. So try to protect him as much as possible if you do ride with him, but also make it very nice for, Deshaun Watson looking around and be like, hey, that's a pretty good offensive line. I kind of want to go there. And they got the money right now. Yeah. So, it's making it very intriguing for Deshaun Watson.
I think the two teams that are really making a push right now for Deshaun Watson, I think every team, not the 49ers or not the Kansas City Chiefs, should be making a push for Deshaun Watson. But the two teams right now are the 49ers and the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are all in on trying to get him. But Cam, we just saw Russell Wilson, who a lot of NFL scouts don't necessarily grade as high as Deshaun Watson, just in terms of the rest of his career coming up in terms of value. According to Dan Patrick, the Seahawks were offered 3 first-round picks, a second-round pick, a third-round pick, and 2 starters for Russell Wilson, and they said no. So what does that mean the market is right now for Deshaun Watson? It's going to be something astronomical. We had somebody write in, Larry Fitzgerald. Pretty sure Larry Fitzgerald announced his retirement. I have not seen that as of yet. Technically, Larry Fitzgerald is still a free agent, but he's not going to go anywhere but the Arizona Cardinals, and the Cardinals are have basically come out and said we're going to give Larry as much time as he wants. But that being said, I still think Larry Fitzgerald, if he wants to come back, he can on a team-friendly deal for 1 year. Cody, I don't think he's going anywhere but Arizona, and I don't see why Larry Fitzgerald, unless he just wants to walk away now, I don't see why he would retire. I mean, dude's still very, very productive for someone at his age.
You get him cheap, too. He's not playing for the money right now. He's just playing.
I mean, they're all playing for the money.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, he's not looking for another team that's going to pay him more. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to stay there for cheaper. He loves being in Arizona. He's done so much for that community, actually, probably more than any player, even with the Diamondbacks, something like that. He's done so much for the community. He loves Arizona. He loves playing for him. He's obviously going to be more intrigued because the more weapons that they have acquired in the offseason, why retire now when this might be one of the best teams they've ever had since they went to the Super Bowl with Kurt Warner? I do not see him retiring.
Yeah, you go out there and you get J.J. Watt. You add him to the defense. They've re-signed a few of their defensive stars. I think the one thing that will be standing in their way, Cody, is they're in a really tough division. So
yes,
that's to me. And as much as we say Kyler Murray has been unbelievable, what were they, 7-9 last year?
Yep.
So we haven't seen that breakthrough yet from them. It's been pretty hit or miss with the run game and really hit or miss on the defensive side of the ball. But they play in a really tough division with the Seahawks and the 49ers, right? So it's always going to be tough for them to get past that. But some other news, Tyrod Taylor is headed to the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of ways of viewing this that I've been reading some articles and some of the opinions of some of the commentators on ESPN in the morning and some of the other radio shows. There's been two kind of main opinions. Number one, and I think this is the thing that most people are running with, he is a good insurance policy in case they do decide to trade Deshaun Watson, which some of the local beat reporters around the Texans have saying this is becoming more and more likely that they are going to deal him. But you have Tyrod Taylor, and then with one of those draft picks you would theoretically get back, go out, get your quarterback of the future, and Tyrod Taylor is a good bridge quarterback for that new quarterback. The flip side of that, though, and I think this is probably more of the case, I'm of the opinion, and this is strictly opinion, I am of the opinion that the Texans are going to make Deshaun Watson hold out. They're going to say, if you want to lose this money, lose this money, bet on yourself, don't collect paychecks, sit out for a year. We'll see if you're really committed to this, right? I think the Texans are going to do that. I think that's probably silly because if he is committed to that, then are you driving down his trade value a year from now? That being said, I think that's becoming more and more likely. So you go sign Tyrod Taylor and say, we're good at quarterback if you decide you want to sit out. We feel comfortable, which that's a tough spot, Cam, to put Tyrod Taylor in when he's trying to come in the locker room, meet everybody, say what's up, figure out, hey, Deshaun, which way's the quarterback? Deshaun, which way's? All right, man, we'll catch you later.
Yep,
that's a tough spot for Tyrod Taylor, but I'm kind of leaning more towards, hey, Deshaun, if you want to sit out this year, that's fine. We can rock with Tyrod Taylor, and I think it's a good signing either way for the Texans.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor's always put in these like weird situations.
Oh yeah,
Cleveland with Baker Mayfield, then the Chargers with Justin Herbert, and now Deshaun. But I think they're doing that because they know they're going to trade Deshaun, go draft a quarterback, let Tyrod play for about 4 or 5 games, and that quarterback, whoever they draft, they bring him in the middle of the season, kind of like what Chargers did with Herbert. I hope that happens.
The quarterback ahead of Josh Allen too.
Yes, he was. He was at the Bills.
He is the bridge quarterback, right?
Yeah, he is the ultimate bridge quarterback. So I just think that happens, and I hope that happens because I do want to see Deshaun go where he wants to go. Just let the player go where he wants to go. It's like Houston's going to get a haul for him. He is, but that's what I think is going to happen. I hope he does. I hope he goes.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
It would be the first time we'd ever seen anything like this, right? In the history of the NFL, where I think somebody said the best quarterback you can compare it to ever, like trading him still in his prime, is Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
When the Broncos traded Jay Cutler to Chicago, like that's the closest you can get in terms of good quarterbacks. And Jay Cutler's nowhere near the quarterback that Deshaun Watson is. And some other NFL news before we hit to the break here. The Jacksonville Jaguars have had a ton of money to spend, and they have been spending a lot of it. Some questionable signings. I think some good signings in there as well. They go out and sign Shaq Griffin, former Seahawks corner, to a 3-year, $40 million deal. I thought Shaquille Griffin's been a really good corner so far for the Seattle Seahawks, a really fast corner. I know all corners are fast, but relative to other corners, the dude can cook. They also go out and get Rayshon Jenkins from the Chargers, 4 years, $35 million. Tyson Alualu, a 2-year, $6 million deal from the Steelers. They signed Marvin Jones, the former Lion. I think that's a really solid veteran wide receiver for them. And they trade for Saints defensive tackle Malcolm Brown. So it's some solid moves. I know one of the biggest positions of need, the Jags need guys everywhere, but one of the biggest positions of need has been that defensive line, and they go out and get Alualu from the Steelers and Malcolm Brown from the Saints, and probably you got to think, Cody, with that second draft pick now in the first round, you're going to address defense. Go, obviously, Trevor Lawrence, number one, but whatever best available defensive player. I think Christian Barmore from Alabama is probably going to be there for them. I think that would be a great pickup from them, or whoever you feel like the best available player. If God forbid, Azeez Ojulari drops to 25. Right now he's slated to go 23rd.
Yeah,
according to Todd McShay. But if he drops to 25, I think that'd be a great pick for them. They do have Josh Allen on the outside right now, but you pair up Azeez Ojulari and Josh Allen as outside linebackers, and I know every coach says they're going to run multiple defenses, but what you're seeing more and more now is 3 down defensive linemen, and if it's heavy packages, you're going to go with 2 outside linebackers. You pair those two guys up, or those 2 guys up on a pass rushing situation, that'd be great for the Jaguars. But I think now you've gotten yourself a couple of veteran defensive linemen, so you free yourself up a little bit to say we don't have to draft a defensive tackle number 2 if our top 2 or 3 guys are already off the board.
Yeah, I don't think they have to go really defensive tackle unless someone amazing slides. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna have to go corner. It's a pretty good corner class if you actually think about it.
Well, I think Eric Stokes from Georgia has definitely ran his way into consideration to be a first-round pick, Cam. He solidified that 4.2 number today. He ran a 4.25 down with Brandon Marshall, and then he comes back up at Georgia G-Day with all the NFL scouts there and runs a timed 4.28 and then ran a 4.32 in his second run. So Eric Stokes is making himself a whole lot of money. I think maybe working himself up into first round consideration there. So I agree, Cody. I think a very deep corner class.
Oh, dude. And the thing with Jags, they can't really go wrong. Just draft the best corner, maybe best linebacker. If I wouldn't draft the safety that high, but pretty much they have all these draft picks where they have 2 second-round draft picks also.
They got a ton of draft
so
picks.
They can just pretty much best player available.
11 total draft picks?
Yeah, it's a lot. So best player available every time is going to be a go-to for them. Dude, corners, I'd advise them do corners in the first round, in the late first round, because there's going to be a few of them. Maybe even get them in their first pick in the second round. It'd be pretty nice. But I'm not like I've ever said this. I've covered the Jags for a while. I used to write a lot about them. I go to all their, most of their games to cover for ESPN Coastal. I'm excited. to go see what they're going to do.
Yeah,
Meyer's going to do.
They have the 33rd and the 45th pick in the draft, as well as number 1 and number 25, I believe.
Yeah, number 25.
So they have, yeah. So, I mean,
best player available.
Well, you have 4 of the top 45 picks. I mean, you need to come out with a haul there if you're the Jaguars, unless they decide, which I think would be very silly with the amount of roster moves they need to make. You could see them try to package that number 25 overall with maybe 1 or 2 of those second rounders and try to move back up into the top 10. I've heard some rumblings about that as well. I mean, Cam, if it's the Falcons, right, and you have number 4 overall, if somebody's coming to you with a first and a second rounder in this year, and you now extended Matt Ryan, or restructured is the word, but the way you're spreading those cap hits out, if you're the Falcons, you got to think Matt Ryan's going to be there for 1, probably 2 more seasons. So maybe we need to slow the roll on the Falcons taking a quarterback at number 4. So if you're the Falcons and the Jags are coming to you with number 25 and a couple of second rounders, something like that, are you jumping down from 4?
I don't know. It just depends who's going 1 through 3, but I don't know. I still like a quarterback there because I just want to solidify the future when everything's said and done with Matt. I just don't know yet. It's hard to tell.
It's gonna be fun. We got a little while to go before we get to the draft, but this talk is just gonna get hotter and hotter and hotter as we get closer to the draft. We got more to come here on Second Down. If you miss any portion of the show, just head to Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, look up ESPN Coastal, and you can catch all the shows there, as well as 3 and Out, Back 9 Boys, all of our ESPN content right there on ESPN Coastal Podcast. We got more to come. Christian Ukel, Cody Queen, Cam Ursery here on Second Down. Welcome back into Second Down right here on ESPN Radio. Christian Gokel alongside Cody Queen and Cam Ursery. Glad to have you alongside. Cody, in the mornings you can catch Mike Greenberg on Greeny as we just stare at Cam. There's Cam, because I want a Cam here for this stat. You can catch Mike Greenberg on Greeny. And he had an amazing stat from his producer this morning, Himbo. He comes in with some deep dive research, which, I mean, I would love from you guys every now and then if y'all want to hit me with some deep dive research. I know it's a lot to ask, but Himbo hit Mike Greenberg with this morning. Most guaranteed money spent in free agency since 2016. Can you tell me who the top two teams are there?
I know. Number 1, Jets. Number 2, Jags.
Correct. Worst records in the NFL since 2016.
Jags and Jets.
The Jags and the Jets. So, I mean, I thought that was fascinating, Cam. So the most money spent in free agency guaranteed since 2016. The Jets spent $341 million. The Jaguars have spent $318 million. Over that time, the Jaguars went 25 and 55. Over that time, the Jets went 23 and 57. I mean, to me, Cam, initially when I see that, I'm like, wow, that means they were just signing some bad deals. But as I kind of sat there and digested it, I don't think that's necessarily true. What I think it means is you have had the capability to spend that much money in free agency multiple times. Where do you get money to spend in free agency? You have to let guys go. It's a salary cap league, right? It's not like the Yankees are just going out there like they can and just signing a whole lot of zeros to the end of every single paycheck, right? You have a salary cap. So to me, what that tells me is the Jets and the Jaguars done a pretty terrible job drafting,
Oh, yeah.
a pretty terrible job in player development, and then a bad job in signing free agents who they have then let go. And I think a bad job in terms of, because like you say, bad job drafting, you got Jalen Ramsey. It's like, right, where is he playing now? That's where the player development comes from, and the culture side of it is bad. So when you're seeing those rankings come out, when the fans get really excited, when they see amount of money to spend in free agency this year and your team's way up there, they got $80 million to spend in free agency, that's probably not a good thing.
Nah, it's not.
And so you see with the Patriots, right? The Patriots have gone out there and spent more money than any team in the history of the NFL through the first 2 days of free agency. The Jaguars set the record, the Jaguars set the record a year ago.
Yep.
And then the Patriots go back and set it this year because they have signed everybody. Hunter Henry, Geno Smith. Let's get in here. Let's get it done, right? It's not a good thing if your team, I think, has a ton of money to spend in free agency. Now, if you have a Hall of Fame level quarterback come off the books that has retired or moves on, I think that's a different story. But you look at a lot of the teams who typically don't have a lot of money to spend in free agency, and it's because they do have that quarterback locked up, right? They are a successful team. They've already spent money on their offensive lineman. They have a big-time defensive tackle or edge rusher that they spend money on. So I do think it's pretty funny how, number one, the NFL has become a 365 kind of sport where there is a major storyline in the NFL every day throughout the year. And they've done a good job of that by spreading out their calendar, Cody, where you have free agency and then the NFL draft and then OTAs, and it never ends, right? Like immediately after the Super Bowl, we're talking about free agency and salary cap, right? So there's never a break for the NFL. And so the storyline and the narrative becomes, yeah, your team just finished as the worst team in the league, but look at all this money you have to spend. So you should be re-engaged in your football team. And I would caution, and Himbo had a great stat, I would caution, Cam, if you have that much money to spend, it probably means something's wrong with your organization.
Yeah, most winning teams are like way over the cap. Look at the Saints, kind of like Tampa had to restructure, things like that. And Jets have had some bad contracts, Le'Veon Bell, Brashard Perryman. Those are some really, really bad contracts that didn't pan out. But you're right. If your team has a lot of salary cap, has a lot of cap room and have a lot of money, that's not good. And there's no promise you're going to get that big free agency because you're already pretty bad. So,
yeah, the thing I want to say about that is a lot of times in free agency, you're overspending on guys versus what their production's actually going to be, right? Like if you have a guy that you go out and draft and then you get him to re-sign to that second deal, that's usually a lot more team friendly than going out and giving, what did Shaq Griffin get? 3 years, $40 million. So you're spending $13 million a year on that corner. Is he a $13 million a year corner, or is that what the market bared because you had that much money to spend?
That's what I was saying. Now it is. You know what I mean? Now, because the way the market is now, this is one of the most expensive free agent season that I think I have like seen. It's like insane, absolutely insane.
Well, I think they've said that because of the salary cap being kicked down this year due to 2020, right, and no fans in the stands for a lot of the teams, and definitely a big financial hit, this is a tough year to be a free agent because teams don't have enough money to spend in salary cap. Like one agent was quoted as saying it's a crappy year, but he didn't use crap, a crappy year to be a free agent right now because there isn't a ton of money going around in the NFL because they reduced the salary cap this year. They set the floor at 180, and then what did it settle like 182.5 or something like that. So it's a tough year to be a free agent right now in the NFL. But then again, just going back to the point, Cam, you don't want your team to have that much money to go out there and spend. So I understand you don't get to be the cool kid at class talking about the new free agent that you got and look how cool this guy's going to fit into the team and went out and signed this receiver and this defensive lineman and this corner. Yeah, right. That's fine, but it's because you already have a quarterback and a receiver and a defensive lineman that work, right? You drafted correctly. Then you have teams like the Falcons who need everything but have no salary cap room because you draft terribly. So that's when they talk about D'Orlando Ledbetter just hammers it every time he comes on. You have to get the draft right because the way the structure and the money works in the NFL, if you don't get the draft right, you're going to be a bad team because you're going to be top heavy with 2 or 3 guys, and you have to fill out the rest of the team with draftable players because you get them on those team-friendly rookie deals. And if you mess that up, it's going to put yourself in a bind, and the Falcons have not done a good job drafting the last few years, and now you see where they're at right now, Cam, where they need a ton of guys, they have no money to spend, and now they're going to have to hope you go, I'd say 75% of the guys you draft are going to have to be able to contribute immediately.
Yeah, hopefully it can happen. We got some early first round, early second round picks. Hopefully they could just come in. Obviously, the first round, I'm not expecting to make an immediate impact. But the second and third round picks, yes.
I was going to say, do you think all of a sudden that becomes pressure if you're Arthur Smith and you're Terry Fontenot and you're saying, am I really going to draft a player at 4th overall and have him not contribute at all in 2021? Because that's what would happen if you drafted a quarterback.
Well, I've been saying this is
like, can the Falcons can the Falcons afford to do that?
No, and
not afford in like a philosophical term, like afford in terms of the actual salary cap. Can they afford to not take a player that's going to contribute at 4 overall?
It's a horrible idea to grab a quarterback. I think Matt Ryan still has a good 4 years left. I think he's still going to be good. Definitely a top 10 quarterback for another 4 years. I think you got a while. Don't do this. If you want to win now, instead of worrying about if you're going to win 4 or 5 years from now, NFL is all about now. So get a player. I would like for them to trade out. I would love for them to trade out to get more draft picks to build this team better. You know what I mean? Like this 4th is just it's such a murky, like draft pick. So like try to trade back for one of these teams that really need a quarterback or something like that. Or even like you said, the perfect thing that you've said so far about the draft in the Falcons is talk to the Bengals. Like, dude, Penei Sewell is right here.
If Penei Sewell is available at 4, strong arming the hell out of the Bengals and saying, how much is he worth to you? Because I have other folks on the phone right now. You have 30 seconds to answer me back. I want Kevin Costner from Draft Day in there, right? Just like on 2 different phones, hanging up on people before they can finish. Brad Pitt and Moneyball, right? You have 30 seconds. Call me back. That's what I need from Terry Fontenot. But just in terms of Matt Ryan, right? Everyone's saying Falcons, terrible team last year. You go 4-12. Listen, I'm looking at the scores. The Falcons lost to the Dallas Cowboys 40-39.
Yep.
Matt Ryan wasn't playing defense. Put up 39 points in that game, right? You lose to Chicago 30-26, another 1-score game. You lose to Green Bay at Green Bay 30-16. That was a really good Green Bay team. But like in the first half of the season, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games that you lost were 1-score games. I mean, that's how close you were, Cody, to being an 11-win team versus a 4-12 team. And now you look at the guys that this new coaching staff isn't even bringing back on the defensive side of the ball. They don't think they're worth trying to re-sign. That's what you were dealing with. I don't think Matt Ryan's the problem on this team.
No.
You were one score away in 7 games from being an 11-5 football team. That's a playoff team. I don't know, Cam. I don't think Matt Ryan's the problem here. I know you want the new toy under the Christmas tree. You want the new quarterback that you can talk about, but I just don't see number 2 as the problem.
No, I don't think he's the problem. Just want to be a year or two ahead. But I will say this, kind of what Carolina did a year ago. If you don't get a quarterback, I think the Falcons should just go strictly the whole entire draft on defense. Just bolster your defense, do what Carolina did a year ago, and then the
Like a
next
running
year
back in
focus
there
on your
somewhere.
O-line. Maybe
The third
maybe
round.
a running back the second round.
Give me like
and
a
then after that,
like Trey
deep.
Sermon, 3rd round, something like
Oh,
that. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. But that defense, you're right. Yeah, they need to bolster that defense. If they do that, won't be too mad.
Trade back, man. Like you got the Panthers in there. They want a quarterback. You got Bengals for offensive
Yeah,
linemen. There's a few other.
if you can drop back to 8 with the Panthers and draft Patrick Surtain or something
Dude,
like that.
oh my gosh.
And then all of a sudden you go from having a position that's you've considered a weakness for a long time to 2 really young top, I don't know what, 15 picks in the draft. I forget where the Falcons picked in 2020.
Like 17, I think.
17.
Yeah.
But
It was in the teens.
Yeah, you'd have 2 first-round picks at corner versus what you had a couple of years ago, which was Robert Alford and Desmond Trufant. So, and Trufant, does he even have a team yet? So, I think you all of a sudden you go from a position of weakness to
they picked 16th.
Yeah. Potentially in the future a position of strength with Patrick Surtain out there, who I think is far and away the best corner in this.
I think he'll be a top 15 almost right away. I think he's good.
I still. Grady Jarrett needs help on the defensive line, but I don't see anybody in this draft class on the defensive line that is worthy of a top 15 consideration. Barmore's good. He's like a late first rounder, kind of a talent. He's not top 15. And flip side of that, and this is going to sound crazy to Falcons fans, I don't think the problem is edge rushers. I'm sick of the Falcons trying to go out there and get the sleek edge rusher. The problem with the Falcons defense, and I'll say this until it's solved, is the Falcons defense is soft. And you don't get soft by drafting 250-pound stand-up, or you don't get stronger by drafting 250-pound stand-up outside linebackers, right? The Falcons defense, people just line up and run against it. I need some big, mean dudes on the inside. And I think they drafted a couple guys last year that they feel like can be those guys, and so we'll wait to see what they can do in year 2. But, yeah, if I'm the Falcons, I'm drafting secondary. If I trade back, hopefully Patrick Surtain, that would be the dream. I know Cam still wants a quarterback, but again, we got a lot of time until we get around to the draft. We got more to come here on Second Down. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back in to Second Down right here on ESPN Radio. Christian Gokel, glad to have you alongside on this Wednesday afternoon. We, of course, presented to you by the Uniform Source, 2 different locations in Savannah to take care of all of your uniform needs. Some news out of the NCAA tournament quickly. The NCAA VP of Operation has announced that all 68 teams are good to go for the tournament, so you will not have to go back and resubmit the brackets. All 68 teams good to go. Big show coming up today on 3 and Out. We catch up with Robbie Weinstein from 247 Sports. Vanderbilt kicks off their spring practice today. Clark Lee, the new coach up there, taking over. Vanderbilt, a tough spot, man. Fighting to not be in the bottom of the SEC East, but just looking around the SEC East, I'm curious as to what y'all think the hierarchy of the East is right now, because my opinion of it right now is it's Georgia,
way above, yeah.
and then there's a break, and then Florida, I think, has potential to be good, right? But there are a lot of unknowns, and I think Kentucky's pretty close to Florida right now. They've gotten some good transfers in. They got a wide receiver out in Nebraska who was an in-state guy to transfer back in. They've got a transfer at quarterback coming in, and they have a couple guys on the roster that they like. A new OC there at Kentucky that's going to spread the ball out a little bit more. They always play solid defense under Stoops up there, but they're going to spread the ball out a little bit more. And then after Kentucky, I think Missouri's pretty good. Bazelak had a really good season for Missouri. And think about the circumstances he was coming into. True freshman coming in, no spring practice out at Mizzou, new head coach. Like it was a tough spot for him to come into. But I thought Connor Bazelak did a good job last year. I think Missouri's just always a scrappy team. So I think those are the 3 teams that are really going to be competing for number 2. And then after that, it's a tough year for South Carolina. Tennessee's a dumpster fire. Vanderbilt's Vanderbilt, right? And so I think Vanderbilt has a chance to scratch and claw and maybe not finish last. But in terms of that tier fighting for number 2, Cam, who do you think winds up on top of that? Or who's your favorite right now out of those teams to finish number 2?
Out of respect, Florida, because, I mean, it's just Florida. I just give them out of respect, but I love Missouri. I think they have the best shot out of those 3 teams that we talked about to do it because of their recent success from last year. But I will go Florida right now because they're still bringing back a pretty decent amount of players on defense, and they're just a wild card at quarterback right now. But I'll go with Florida.
Cody, I know you said yesterday, Cody, your favorite team for 2021 is who? LSU?
Oh, the favorite to do the best.
No.
Very underrated.
No. You said, like, we asked you yesterday, and you said LSU was your favorite team. I asked you specifically over UCF and Florida, and you said yes. So your favorite team is LSU. But in terms of Florida, how do you think they are the favorite to be number 2?
No. Kentucky, Stoops is doing an all right job out there.
I think he's doing better than all right.
Getting the transfers to come in. He's making it very nice. Not only just a basketball school these days, might be starting to turn into a football school.
Football school might win more games than the football team might win more games than the dang
than the basketball team.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. He's getting them. He's recruiting in state very well. I was looking it up yesterday while you guys were talking. He's got some big old boys on that offensive line. Them corn-fed Kentucky boys and Western Tennessee boys. He has been recruiting. He's been going lights out. Kentucky's going to be a much better team this year than they were last year and the years before. They're slowly getting better. Florida, I think they lost so much, the quarterback situation, Emory Jones. I'm not sure if I'm a big Emory Jones believer. Hopefully he proves me wrong. But, man, that defense is still terrible, just terrible. They're going to allow a bunch of points, and they're only going to win if they're going to score a bunch of points, and Kyle Trask is no longer there.
Oh, yeah. Defensive staff at Florida has to be on their last legs right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida, not great. They did get a pretty good transfer at running back, but the defense not good. I think Florida should be the favorite. I think the one thing Florida has going against them, or favorite to finish number 2.
Okay.
I think the one thing they have going against them, and it's a pretty big one thing, is you're going to play the SEC East. Like, you're going to play that schedule, right? You're going to play your out of conference, but then you get 2 crossover games. Florida always has LSU on the schedule. This year they have Alabama as their other crossover game from the SEC West. It's in Gainesville, but still, you have what's probably going to be the number 1 team in the country coming in to the Swamp. It's going to be a tough look for Florida coming up on September 18th. Whereas Kentucky, they also have LSU on the schedule coming up, but their other crossover game, Mississippi State.
Yeah,
So I
that's
mean
bad.
that I mean it could honestly come down to that in terms of Kentucky finishing above Florida. I think Kentucky, if you're sleeping on them, do so at your own peril. Really good offensive line, really solid defensive line. They're always going to play stout defense with Stoops. And then they've gotten some transfers in that are some good skill guys. The quarterback play should be better. Liam Cohen, I think, is a very good OC. So Kentucky could be a dangerous team coming up in 2021. We got more to come right here on Second Down. Final segment coming up next. We'll get you ready for 3 and Out. Big show coming up today on 3 and Out. Going to catch up with a good friend of ours, Brooks Austin. He's going to break down Georgia's pro day. Good showing from Aziz Ojolari. Monty Rice had a good day as well. Ben Cleveland throwing up 30 reps there on the bench press, running in the fives on his 40. With story of the day, Eric Stokes confirms that 4.2 speed there in Athens at G-Day with all of these scouts on hand. So we'll talk to Brooks about that. Also going to catch up with Robbie Weinstein from 247 Sports. Covers Vanderbilt for them. Clark Lee right now in the midst of his first spring practice there at Vanderbilt. So we'll break down what Vandy's looking like heading into 21 with Robbie Weinstein coming up in the 4 o'clock hour as well. And then a 5 o'clock hour, we'll catch up with Jake Mastriani from Tomahawk Take. A lot of storylines starting to clarify there for the Braves, bench positions, bullpen positions, and the starting rotation as well. So we'll catch up with Jake from Tomahawk Take and break all of that down coming up on 3 and Out. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us today. We will catch up with y'all tomorrow.